offer you the opportunity to ask a lot of questions. Today, we've got a fast-moving program. You'll be able to ask people some questions. I just wanted to welcome you. Thank you for coming today. And I want to introduce our provost and our senior vice president for academic affairs, Dr. Sean Reed. Dr. Reed's been with us almost a year now, and he'll be talking about academics at PC. He'll get more into the overall academic experience at Providence College. And I look forward to seeing you at a future campus program here. So without further ado, is Dr. Reed there? There he is. Hi, Sean, how are you?
How are you, Raul?
I'm great, Sean. We've got a nice group of juniors here that are starting their exploration into college, and they're going to get a full plate of Providence College today. And I know that you'll shape that course as far as academics are concerned. So I want to thank everyone for coming today. I want you to have a great day. And remember, go Friars. Sean, it's all yours. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Raul. Well, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to welcome you virtually to Providence College. As Raul said, my name is Sean Reed, and I am the Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs here at PC. I've been here at PC for about 10 months right now. And interesting story how I came to PC. I have been a finance professor and a dean of a business school. I originally grew up in Boston and was very familiar with Providence College, was anxious to get back to the area. And when the opportunity presented itself at Providence College, I was thrilled to come back to it. One of the reasons for that is the incredible growth and reputation that Providence has enjoyed over the last 10 years or so to essentially become one of the hottest IT schools in the country. And I hope that many of you feel that way, and that's why you're here today learning a little bit about it. I'm also the dad of 7 kids, 6 of whom have been through this college search process already. So for the students in the audience, it's a start of something incredibly exciting, challenging in this COVID environment, but also the first step to one of the most important journeys of your life, heading off to college. You should be really excited about it and don't be daunted by it. For the parents that are involved with this, if this is number one, this can be very challenging and very confusing. You're in good company with the rest of the parents that are going through this. But PC is a special place, and for both the students and the parents, part of this junior meeting today is to get you excited about considering Providence. As Raul said, you really don't get a flavor for the school until you've been here to visit. The juniors this year are in a much better shape than the seniors that were in this position last year, where virtually no school in the country was open to visits. So if you have the opportunity and the means to come for a visit sometime this summer or early next fall, we look forward to welcome you to campus. Now, as the Vice President for Academic Affairs, the top point of my talk this morning is going to focus on the academics of Providence College. But really, we want you to think about it as your education. And there's more to your education than just academics. If you think about the typical course load for a first-year student heading off to college, typically in class between 16 and 18 hours a week and doing your homework related to those. It's a significant commitment of time focused on academics, but there's at least as much time that's the rest of your education. And as Raul said, the rest of your education includes things like athletics, service, extra and co-curricular activities, professional development, career services, all of those types of things. And you're going to have a bunch of speakers over the course of this webinar to tell you more about that. But I would just, at the beginning, ask you to think about the rest of the presenters you're going to hear today in the context of education and how it relates to academics. So when I think about Providence College, and people often ask me what makes Providence College different, And I encourage them to look at the mission of Providence College. And for many of you, especially if you're at a junior presentation, you're looking at where you're heading off to college, and you might have already considered a lot of other schools. Look at those mission statements and then look at them without seeing what college they're from. Many of those missions are so generic to the point that you could substitute one for the other at almost every school. Providence College mission statement, however, very unique, very specific to Providence. As Raul mentioned, we're a Catholic and Dominican college. In fact, we're the only college in the country that is founded by and in the tradition of the Dominican friars. And that is in every aspect of what we do across campus, from the mascot, the friars, all the way down to the friars that you'll see working in residential life, campus ministry, faculty members. It's an integral part of the campus experience. And it's also focused on the liberal arts. And the liberal arts, and for the parents that may be in the audience, getting beat up a lot in the media, especially as the cost of education, college education, continues to rise. There are some serious and legitimate questions about the value of a liberal arts education. And many parents and students are considering going to a more job-focused program. And my pushback on that would be, if you don't think that a liberal arts education is preparing you for life after college, you don't have a true appreciation for what the liberal arts are. Providence College, one of the most distinctive features of it in that liberal arts core curriculum that all students take part in, is the development of Western civilization, a 4-semester program that all students at Providence participate in from their first semester on campus to the end of their sophomore year. It brings you through the development of Western civilization and the development of the church, how we got to modern times, and culminates with a colloquium in that second semester of your sophomore year that synthesizes all of the elements of philosophy, theology, literature, arts, history, art history, and pulls them into one coherent liberal arts foundational package, along with your other courses in the liberal arts, math, science, social science. And then for those of you that are interested in our 2 professional schools, the School of Business and the School of Professional Studies, you have the opportunity to complement that liberal arts education with more focused study in a major. Some students are here witnessing this presentation today and know exactly what they want to do for their major, whether that's following the footsteps of a parent or a loved one or someone that you respect and you know what you want to do after graduation. And there are other students who, as juniors in high school, have no idea what they want to do after graduation. And frankly, that should be the majority of you. Most of the students that come in, and it is more than half now, will change their major once they get to college. So there is that rare student that knows exactly what they want to do from the time they're a kid, and they map out their life and they come to college, pursue a major, graduate, and move on to the career that there's always dreamed of. But for every one of those students, there's 10 that shows up at college, enthusiastic about coming off to school, nervous about what they're going to make of their education, and not even really thinking about what they're going to do after graduation yet. And that's where I think Providence differentiates itself. We develop our students, and in many ways, we think of it as the formation of your character, what you're going to do. My challenge, even for the students that do have an idea exactly what major they want to study and exactly what career they want to pursue, don't head off to college, whether it's PC or somewhere else, thinking about what you want to do when you graduate. The far more important question is, who do you want to be when you graduate? And what kind of person do you want to be? Focusing specifically on the academics, however, Providence is broken into 3 schools. The core school and the anchor and the foundation of the liberal arts program is arts and sciences. And just like it sounds, it includes the arts and the humanities, as well as the sciences, STEM programs, science, technology, engineering, and math. All students will be fully immersed in the humanities through their participation in our signature DWC program. Unique to that DWC program is that each one of those 4 courses that you take will be team taught by faculty that come from across the disciplines. It's one of the best examples of interdisciplinary study that you'll find in any campus you might visit. Each faculty team includes a representative from philosophy, from history, from art and art history, from history and classics, and from English. And they're taught interdisciplinarily to bring you in the development of that Western civilization in a historical context, but seeing it through the lens of philosophy, the development of religion, the arts and languages associated with it, the literature that comes with the development of civilization. However, I will say it's not focused specifically on just Western civilization. Western civilization exists in the context of a broader world that includes non-Western traditions, non-Western history, non-Western great books. We will expose you to those things. They are integrated into the development of Western civilization program, but this core common experience, which culminates in the 2nd semester of your sophomore year, sets you off on a path to be successful no matter what major you are in terms of thinking, clear communication, critical thinking about problem solving, effective articulation of an argument, consideration for your viewpoint as well as other viewpoints, and the ability to discern information in the pursuit of truth. Veritas is the motto, not just for Providence College, but for the Dominican order that established Providence College. Beyond the DWC curriculum, the liberal arts core will also include courses in mathematics, other humanities, natural sciences. And by the time you get to your sophomore year, you'll choose what major and what path you want to head down. Many students will continue on with the humanities that they started in the DWC program. Other ones will be pulled into the STEM majors and the remarkable work that we're doing in biology and chemistry and math and computer science, physics and engineering in preparation for graduate school. Again, Providence College, a differentiator is that we're predominantly an undergraduate serving institution. So we have cutting edge technology in those STEM labs, but it's not focused specifically for the doctoral students that are working with faculty on their PhDs. As an undergraduate student, we often have first year students and sophomores that are working in laboratories with cutting edge equipment and with world-renowned faculty that are graduating from their undergraduate program, being a co-author on an academic journal publication or doing a presentation for a poster presentation at an academic conference. The exposure that you get as an undergraduate student here at Providence College and the interaction that you'll have with your faculty in developing a signature experience that's going to carry you beyond your education here is something that's incredibly special. Within the professional schools, and those are the Providence College School of Business and the School of Professional Studies, Providence College School of Business has had incredible growth over the last 10 years, recognized as a top performing school, top 50 school in the very influential Poets and Quants Best Undergraduate Business Programs. For those of you that have the opportunity to come to campus, I encourage you to look through all the academic buildings, including the Science and Technology Center and in the School of Business, and look at the resources that you will have available to you as an undergraduate student. For those in business, the opportunity to be qualified on Bloomberg terminals and all other kinds of professional organizations within the School of Business, the ability to have meaningful internship connections with our vast alumni base, the Professional Career Education and Professional Development Center really put you at a cut above. The business disciplines include accountancy, finance, management, and marketing. And frequently, students will, even if they do choose a major in the School of Business, complement that with a passion area often outside the School of Business, be it theology, a science, a math, economics, or something that they've done in the arts and sciences. The School of Professional Studies, predominantly focused on what the dean calls the caring professions, includes elementary and special education, secondary education, healthcare policy and management, and social work, thus the caring professions. All of these things are complemented, and even those professionally focused majors are made better by the unbelievable foundation in the liberal arts that you get before you concentrate on your major. And I'll leave you with an overview of the academics and make myself available. If any of you have any additional questions, Raul's staff would be happy to put you in touch with a faculty member, a staff member in the specific school or program that you're interested in. But I'll offer my closing remarks as a provost and as a dad of a bunch of kids that have gone through this process already. It's only the end of the junior year. Many students make themselves so worked up about this whole process of finding the right school. This should not be torture for you. If this is a painful process, you're doing it wrong. You're taking the first step in the rest of your life. It should be the most enjoyable thing for you. Don't let the anxiety of finding the right school ruin the experience for you. Certainly not your senior year. I encourage you to make the most of the summer. You're going to have a great year coming out of the crazy year that we've all just lived through. Hope you have the opportunity to come and visit Providence College over the summer or next fall. And if you do so, I look forward to meeting you in person. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to the admissions staff, let you hear the rest of these speakers, and leave you with one last thought. Go Friars.
Go Friars. Thank you, Dr. Reed. Appreciate it. So let's take a pause right now and let's see what questions we have. So you've heard from Raul. So he is the VP, the Dean of Admission, if that kind of helps understand his role. Sean, Dr. Reed is our provost, but I know that there are probably things that you're wondering, maybe things that somebody touched on already that you might have a question about. Feel free. We're in a webinar. Obviously, I can't see you, but you can see me. You can use the chat function or the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen to ask your questions. So just to give you a quick introduction, my name is Megan O'Rourke. I'm an associate dean for admission in the Office of Undergraduate Admission at PC, and I am happy to help answer questions while we take this quick pause before we have Patty Goff join us to talk about student life. And I just saw a question pop up. What is the average SAT score of the accepted group of students for the class of 2025? So that's a great question. And I think it leads kind of into what I would want you all to know. Providence College is a test optional institution. So we do not require you to submit an ACT or an SAT score for admission to PC, which is great. We really want to focus on your academic work over the past, what we will end up having is 3 years, so freshman, sophomore, and junior year. That really gives us a strong sense of, what kinds of classes you're taking, how you're doing in those classes. We look at the rigor of the courses that you've selected so that we have an understanding contextually of how your academic time has gone in high school. I think it's important to know that for students at PC, should they decide to submit an ACT or an SAT score, that information can be submitted self-reported. So what that means is when you get access to applying to PC, you can actually tell us what those scores are versus having them sent through ACT and SAT. You might not have taken a test yet, so you might not realize this, but one thing that will happen is if you don't send the scores automatically, if you decide to take a test, you then end up having to pay a little bit of money to have them sent later on. So that's a good tip for you all as you're kind of getting into your junior search and thinking about all of these things. There are some fees associated with sending scores. So that's one kind of barrier that we really wanted to remove, was allowing you to self-report that information should you decide to send it. So let me talk to you about the class of 24 to get to that specific question about kind of what the average was. So for students that, and again, this is based on students who submitted scores to PC. I think I want to make that clear, our average SAT score is usually like a 1200, 1300, somewhere in that range. ACT is, 27, 28, 29, 30, somewhere in that range. But those score averages are based on the students who submitted scores. So hopefully that helps. We've got a couple of other questions that have popped up. As you're looking at going into the psychology field, do we offer internships, and how does the major compete with other schools? That's a great question. So internships, you're actually going to hear from our career services office. So you're actually going to get that information. So I don't want to steal her thunder. She's coming up a little bit later. Her name is Eileen. She'll do a great job of kind of walking you through some of that information. So we'll leave that for later. But your question about the psychology major is an interesting one for me, especially because I think for a lot of students, the question becomes, okay, I'm looking at a business major, I'm looking at psychology, I'm looking at history. You can find those programs at a lot of places. And I think Dr. Reed really touched on this in such a great way. I think it becomes more than about what the other opportunities are. And PC can really round out the time that you're spending in class and on campus in your 4 years. So I always like to talk to students about availability of doing research. If you're a psychology major, that might be an opportunity you want to take advantage of. We have a really great process for students looking at internships and jobs. The Career Services Office does a really, truly incredible job of supporting students through those processes, through those opportunities. But what are the classes like? I think for many students that are interested in PC, the part of the appeal is the size. Our average class size is about 20 students each year. It's pretty consistent in that capacity. And so you really have great access to your professors teaching classes. You have the ability to dialogue with your fellow students. And I think a lot of students, the appeal there is that they feel like that classroom experience is an engaging one, and that they're really able to learn in a way that helps them through their programs. And that's what I would tell you to focus on is kind of thinking through those other things. Patty's going to talk to you just shortly about student life at PC. Those are some other things to consider when you think about the other, because inherently undergraduate psychology programs, classes will look similar from school to school. So it's the other stuff that I think is worth considering as you go through your time in the programs. We've got a great question about students are they able to double major or have a double minor? Yes, of course. We really want to encourage students to build an academic program in whatever capacity that means, that makes the most sense for them, that they're excited about, that they're passionate about. So if it's a double major, great, we will help work that through with you. If you want to major in something, but maybe have 2 minors, that's also a possibility. You'll have an advisor that you work with in your time at PC, and that person will be able to help you understand what the requirements are and how to build your time so that each semester you're taking classes to work towards completing the requirements for whatever you're going to end up doing. Okay, let's see what else is on this list. Do we use unweighted or weighted GPAs in our decisions? And do we look at class rank? Class rank is such an interesting question. Some schools are still using it. We don't really need it because, again, our focus is really on the academics. We will unweight GPAs, but that's where the rigor of the classes comes in. So just keep in mind that you'll be able to do a couple of things when it comes to submitting your academic work. Your high school is going to submit a school report. You're going to submit your activities and your involvement, your class schedule for senior year. So we're going to have the whole picture, your essay, your letters of rec, all of the pieces that we'll be able to look at and consider when it comes to the overall process. But academically speaking, when we talk about kind of that quantitative piece, yes, we are looking at your unweighted GPA, but we factor the rigor in as a way to kind of make sure that we're standardizing the process for everyone and keeping it as equitable as we can. Okay, I'm going to take a couple more of these questions and then we will move on to Patty. I know Patty's waiting patiently to come on and tell you all about life at PC. So let me see if there's any other questions I can answer quickly. Yes, we do take into account improvement over the course of time in high school. It's a term that can kind of get overused in college admissions, but we really believe in holistic admissions, right? So your academic record, your activities, your letters of rec, your essay, all of those pieces play a part in our admission committee's review of your application. So hopefully that helps in kind of understanding how we review and how we look at an application. And once we get you to campus, we're actually going to walk through what that process looks like too, right? So this is just kind of the precursor to get you excited about PC, get you to campus so that you're able to kind of learn all of the things, get the tour, get the full experience. For those that haven't been before, this is one of our beautiful buildings on campus, and we're thrilled to be able to bring you to campus starting in June. Okay, we're going to take a pause. Patty, if you want to come on screen for me, I will have you get started. Hi, how are
Hello,
you?
how are you?
Love your background.
Yeah, right? We're all
Okay,
here.
so I'm gonna go back off screen. Everybody, this is Patty Goff. She's here today to talk to you about student life at PC. We are gonna get to your questions, so keep putting them in the Q&A, keep putting them in the chat, but let's let Patty talk to you a little bit and we will come back to those a little bit later.
Perfect, thank you. So hello everyone, welcome. My name is Patty Goff. I'm an Assistant Vice President of Integrated Learning and Administration within Student Affairs. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean anything to you, but after I talk, I'm hoping that you'll understand a little bit more about what we do in Student Affairs and why we try to do it. And maybe you'll have more questions for me about student life that we can ask after this as I cover certain topics. I do want to say I find this really difficult to do because when we work with students in student affairs, our whole days are filled with one-on-one with students, seeing students in the hallways, having appointments with students, student club and org meetings. We interact daily with students and we love that work. So to have to talk to a screen and not see your faces is really difficult because it's not what we do as well as what we do in person. And it's why we love what we do. But anyways, I am going to talk about student life at PC to really try to give you an idea of what it would look like if you were here and what your experience would be. From a big picture view, we believe at Providence College in educating the whole student. And so what that means is the work we do in your life outside of the classroom, the point is to really help you flourish in those areas of your life so that you can flourish in the classroom, right? Because if you're suffering in other areas of your life, you know this better than anybody, your academics will suffer. So we really work together to make sure that we can support and advocate and also have some fun with you so that when you're in the classroom, you're at the top of your game. So again, how do we do that? What does that look like? When you think of student affairs or student life at PC, the people that work here and the students that we engage with to do this work with us, think of them as either your guidance office or in some ways your family away from home. And, when I say family, we'll never take the place of your family, but when you come to college, you're kind of stepping out of what you're used to. And we want you to still have that support that you hopefully feel from your families at home. So you have that here. So we try to fill those voids with support, but also with fun, right? You usually have fun with your family. We want to do that as well. And I say your guidance office because I know you're juniors in high school and that's probably who you're interacting with to talk about college right now. We're going to guide you through those 4 years to make those decisions after college as well. Just like in high school, they're preparing you for college. So we'll kind of fill both of those voids for you. But how do we actually do that? So one of our pillars, we actually have 4 that guide the work we do. One of our pillars is called human flourishing. And it means exactly what you think of when you think of flourishing. I'm at my best. I'm balanced. I'm doing well. I'm doing okay. That's what we want you to get to at Providence College. That's where we want you to be. So under human flourishing, we have the Student Health Center. And that's just one of 3 departments I'm going to talk about that help you flourish. Never has the Student Health Center really been more important than during the pandemic, of course, right? So this year, they've been doing things that we've never imagined they'd have to do, whether it's testing, talking to the positive cases, having students go into isolation if they need to, working around the clock to make sure our students who do need their services are able to get the help that they need. In a non-pandemic year, you can go to health services at any time, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, just like you would a doctor's appointment. If something's wrong with you health-wise, right? You need that support. We also have EMTs on 24/7 if something happens to you outside of the health service hours. But it's really important that you know that they're there to support you, especially if you're coming to college with already a pre-existing condition, right? So make sure that our nurses and our doctor will actually be aware of that and help you through that as you continue in your 4 years at Providence College. They also do educational workshops, right? Things like sleeping become very important at college and students stop doing it for some reason. So they'll do things like sleep workshops, flu clinics, anything to keep you healthy while you're here at Providence College. The next department that comes under flourishing is the Personal Counseling Center. You're probably very aware that mental health issues among high school students and colleges has grown significantly nationally. We have mental health counselors on staff to support any student that needs it. You don't have to come with a pre-existing condition. You can decide once you're here that you want to talk to somebody. Whatever it is, it can be a support service that you utilize once or that you utilize all 4 years if needed, depending on where you are. But just know that support system exists for you here at Providence College. And finally, I talked a little about fun, our Concannon Fitness Center, our rec sports and fitness center. It is a state-of-the-art, I know many of you haven't seen us yet, a state-of-the-art facility. So whether it's treadmills, rowing machines, Nautilus equipment, free weights, pool, whatever it is, they have it here in the Concannon Fitness Center. I know as a staff member that of course, when it's not the pandemic, when I go to, we call it the gym, between 3:30 and 7:30, I'm not going to get a treadmill, and that's okay because all the students are there. It's as much of a social hour sometimes as it is a working out hour, and that's great. We want students to have a place to go, to gather, to be physically fit, but also to socialize. And so you will have that here. Besides being a gym, so to speak, they have fitness classes in all sorts of areas. They have personal training sessions if you want a personal trainer. They actually will certify you to become a personal trainer while you're here if you want to take that route. And they have intramural and club sports. And I talk about intramural sports with a smile on my face when I talk about it at Providence College, because it is such a big part of students' lives. It is a social event. It is a team building event. It's their fun. It's their stress relief. And I will tell you, getting an intramural championship t-shirt here at Providence College is a thing for bragging rights. I mean, it is so important to our students if they can get one of those. I often joke that students work harder to win an intramural championship t-shirt than they do to actually get a job after graduation. That's how coveted that t-shirt is. So within the intramural sports, we have things like spike ball, can jam, flag football, indoor outdoor soccer, tennis, kickball, volleyball, basketball, ice hockey, badminton, table tennis, one of my favorites, inner tube water polo, volleyball, ultimate frisbee. So there's something for everyone. And especially with first year students, they find it's a way to make friends, right? You want to play spike ball with someone, so you get a couple of people on your floor, you get a team together, all of a sudden you're playing spike ball all semester with these same students. You get to know them. You get to start making friends in that way. So it's really great social activity as well. We also have club sports. Now, club sports, obviously not everyone can play at the Division I level, but so many of our students that come to Providence College were athletes, either in high school or previously, and they want to continue that. They still want to have that in their lives. So club sports is literally a sport that you have a coach, you have practice times, you travel, you have games with schools, other schools who have club sports teams. It's not the Division I level, but it's nothing to sneeze at. So it's really helping students still have that student athlete life. And within club sports, we have softball, field hockey, figure skating, golf, ice hockey, basketball, lacrosse, rugby, soccer, volleyball, racquetball, running, sailing, swimming, tennis, wrestling, and ultimate frisbee. And the reason I list these out is because I know there's some of you out there who this is really important to you when you make your decision about a school. The academics is an important piece, but if you want to continue this part of your life, I want you to know that they may have what you're looking for here in that place as well. Moving on to our next two pillars, cultural agility, contemplation, and communication. Cultural agility is truly just the ability to communicate, to move and work in different cultures. We want you to start getting that experience at Providence College because you are going to move out into the world, and we want you to be prepared to have that experience within different cultures within the world. So we want to start having those conversations and those experiences here. Contemplation and communication is actually a commitment to our Dominican Order of Preachers mission to share with others the fruits of contemplation. So really it's about reflecting on what you're doing while you're here, whether that's in the classroom or outside of the classroom, and being able to speak about that and share that. That's all we're trying to do. So one of the offices that's really supportive with students in both of these areas is the Dean of Students office. The Dean of Students office is almost literally your guidance office while you're here all 4 years. They have the answers and the resources to every question you will have. If they can't help you specifically, they're going to point you to the office that can. So they are really the fallback for student affairs. They can handle it all and really farm you out to the right resources. They also oversee some major student organizations such as the Cowl, which is our student newspaper, the PCTV, our TV site, and WDOM, our radio station. They also advise our student congress, which is a big part of the life at Providence College, making sure that student interests are represented when decisions are made at the college. The Office of Residence Life and Housing is also under these pillars. And truly, residence life and housing, you're part of a community when you come to Providence College, especially if you're living on campus, which most of our students may do, although our commuters are still engaged and our off-campus upperclassmen are still engaged in the Providence life. So they're still engaged in this office. But if you are living on campus, many of you, if you haven't gone to a boarding school, this could be your first experience living in community. It's different than living at home. If you've never had a roommate, you've had your own room all of your life, it could be the first time that you're actually living with one or two other people. That's some change, that's a transition. And so we have resident assistants, people who can help you make that transition smoothly, help you work through any roommate conflicts you may have. We actually do roommate agreements where you and your roommate talk about, I get up early, I get up late, I like to have the light on when I study, I like to have it off, whatever it is, you actually talk about those things ahead of time and make an agreement to respect each other and what's important to each other so that you can avoid some conflicts as well. Within the residence halls, our RAs build community. They want you to have fun. This is where you're going to be for a year. They want you to participate in programs, to really get to know your floor mates, because your roommate may or may not end up being a really good friend of yours, and that's okay. If it is, wonderful. If it isn't, you have friends outside of that, and that's just someone you live with. And that's a total normal experience at college. But really, they want to really put on programs and help you feel a part of that floor and of that residence hall. And finally, our first year resident assistants actually meet one-on-one with our first year students. And the point of that is, so it's one thing to have a floor meeting where there's, a bunch of you listening to the resident assistant talk about things, but if you can meet one-on-one with your resident assistant, that means you have an opportunity to ask any question you want, get any information you want, and really feel like you're seen by someone, and someone on that floor knows you and can be there to support you. Finally, we have the Office of Student Activities and Cultural Programming. And they're really the fun office, I'm not going to lie. There are over 100 clubs and organizations that come out of that office. So if students come here from a very active high school life and they want to continue that participation in clubs and organizations, whatever it was they did in high school, here's your opportunity to do that. You can go on their webpage today and look at their different clubs and organizations. I bet you would find something that you like. The other thing that's great about college is it's also a time to reinvent yourself, to try something new. So if you weren't involved in high school, that now's your opportunity to maybe do that. But also, if you want to try something different, if you were in student congress all your life through high school, maybe you want to do something different in college, you have opportunities to do that. The other thing I tell students is, if you can't find something you like out of those 100 clubs and orgs to be a part of, start your own club. That happens all the time. You just need to find enough people who want to be a part of that, get approved by Congress, and all of a sudden we have a new club with a new interest. We also do cultural programming, which is really, we have a lot of cultural clubs. We have the Board of Multicultural Student Affairs, which within that club are all more of the multicultural clubs, or the clubs with a focus like that. And they put on a lot of great events, fashion shows, dances, educational events, all that sort of thing. And you as the student body get to go to any of those. So it's really quite a fun time to be at Providence College when you're thinking about student activities and cultural programming. The last pillar that I want to share with you is this integrated learning pillar. And that was what was in my title, right? So integrated learning, having what you learn in the classroom also work with what you're doing outside of the classroom, and really bringing those two things together. So under this integrated learning pillar is the Center for Orientation, Transition, Leadership, and the Center for Career Education and Professional Development. Eileen Wisniewski is our director of the Career Center, and she's going to come on after me and talk specifically about that. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I always say we have you from day one We work with you all 4 years and we get you ready for life after graduation through the Career Center. So integrated learning is going to be with you for your 4 years here at Providence College, but it starts at orientation. So any student who comes in needs to understand there's a big transition, right? So we're going to help you. We have fantastic staff of orientation leaders, over 100, who when you come, you're in groups of about 30 students. You're with that orientation leaders for 4 or 5 days before school even starts, getting to know your fellow classmates, doing some really fun stuff, doing icebreakers, but also learning what is here at Providence College for you. Really going through these resources that we went through today, kind of high level, and really answering your questions and digging down deep into them and making sure you're taking advantage of everything that Providence College has to offer. After orientation, we have transitional programs throughout the years for you. So things like transitions, we have a transformations retreat for sophomores, which is a retreat in your sophomore year to really start reflecting on it's sophomore year. Freshman year, I was just kind of navigating my way through. Now I have 3 more years. What am I going to do with those? What do I want to do? What haven't I looked at yet? So it's student led, and students and sophomores are attending it, but it's a time to really reflect, get off campus, get away. There's some fun involved, whether it's kayaking or ropes courses and that sort of thing, but really just meld with other students and think about what's next for you. There's also a peer mentor program and a Horizons program and a PC1G program. And the difference between those, a peer mentor program is really focused on first generation college students, really specifically international and students of color who are first gen, and they are paired with another student who's their peer mentor, right, to help them make those transitions and adjust. There's a Horizons program, which is also a multicultural student program, but that's really just any first year student having upperclassmen mentors, so sophomore, juniors, and seniors, to really have someone to go to with questions and just have support throughout your 4 years here. Many of our Horizons first year programs go on to become sophomore, junior, and senior Horizons, where they're helping and giving back to first years that come in. Our PC1G program is for any first generation college student, and that actually pairs first year students with a faculty or staff member who was probably first gen themselves. So you have someone right here on campus who's your advisor. We call you your partner, PC1G partner, because really the relationship can be whatever you want it to be. It can be, you know, social advice, it can be academic advice, it can be career advice, whatever it is that you want to reach out to, but you do have someone here who's been through that experience, even if it's different than the one that you're having. And then finally, the Leadership Fellows Program, which I just hosted a informational session last night on Zoom with over 100 students. It was great because I could actually see their faces, but truly finding a program like this where you take a year and a half to reflect on what are your values, how do you lead, what's important to you, and really help you understand your purpose and passion and help you get to that, because that can be an intimidating thing to think about when you're in college. But hopefully in our meetings once a month, we're talking about those things. We have a Leading with Values retreat where we connect with other schools in Rhode Island as well as yourself to talk about these things. And you actually graduate from the program in your junior or senior year after a year and a half of that. The last part, again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, is the Center for Career Education and Professional Development. But let me tell you, if you partake in what Eileen's going to talk to you about, specific programs, engage with career coaches, at orientation, you actually take the Clifton Strengths for Students Strength Finder assessment, which gives you your top 5 strengths. You can talk to a career coach about those, about using those. If you really engage with a career coach, you will be prepared for life after graduation, which I know seems a far cry off, but it does go by quickly. And the earlier you engage with the Career Center, the less stress you'll have about graduating, but also the more prepared you will be. So that is all I have. If you want to come back, and I don't know if you want to do questions after Eileen or with me now. I don't know how you're working this.
Well, so we actually have a question that came in.
Okay.
Can you just speak a little bit to, like, how do students juggle all of these things? You've mentioned a lot of like opportunities for them to take advantage of. How does
Yeah.
a student juggle it all?
Yeah. So part of your orientation will be to talk to upperclassmen who are doing exactly what you're trying to figure out, because hearing it from the students is better than hearing it from me, right? We talk about, well, we have time management, workshops that you can do. But truly, if I can talk to you from a career coach standpoint, which is what I come up from, Students feel like they come to college and they have to be involved in everything because that's many times what they were in high school. The secret is employers don't want that. Employers and grad schools want to know that you were involved in one or two things, but that you were deeply involved. So you took a leadership role or you were on a committee. You really participated instead of being in 5 clubs and orgs plus your classes. So don't feel that pressure. Don't put that pressure on yourself. Having said that, we still see students who are so overloaded. And quite honestly, it makes me sad because many times they are stressed out when they should just be enjoying their 4 years because they're running from club meeting to club meeting and I'm the president of this and I got to go to this. So my advice is to really find what you like and stick with it. And guess what? If you join a club and you don't like it, you don't have to stay there. College is about reinventing yourself. Try something new, and you're going to make a whole set of new friends if you try something new as well, right? So really finding what you like and sticking with it. We actually do an involvement fair at orientation where all the clubs and orgs are there. And students will tell me they go around, they sign up for everything, and then you start getting emails and then they pick and choose what they're going to do. You don't have to sign up for everything. You can, but you don't have to. Really come with an idea of, let me listen for what I like or something new that I want to try. Freshman year, 1 or 2 tops, if that. You've got to adjust to academics. You've got to adjust to living on campus. Maybe 1 club, right? Or maybe it's intramural sports. And then once you make friends, you're also going to, with them, join things that you like.
One last thing before you go.
Sure.
What if you could like very quickly just say, what do you think what makes PC different than other schools? That's something that's come up a couple of times in the questions.
So I always speak at it from a career perspective, which I know Eileen will agree with, but let me go back to, I worked at another school before I worked at Providence College, and I won't name it, but the difference I saw immediately, even as an employee, as a staff member, was the community at Providence College. And what I mean by that is people stay here when they work here because they love the community. They are here because they love working with students. Having said that, the student and faculty and the student and staff relationships that I've seen developed, I think are quite special. From a career standpoint, I think that translates into alumni who want to give back, right? If you were close to a faculty or staff member as a student, when you graduate, chances are you're still having that relationship. I have tons of relationships, thank God for LinkedIn, so I can keep in touch with them all, with students who have graduated over the past 14 years that I've been here. I can call on any one of them to help you, who I'm working with now, to figure out if you want to do an internship in marketing. That connection of alumni back to the college is stronger than anything I've seen either at the other school I worked at, my own alma mater, or even just talking to other career center folks at other schools.
That's like such a great segue. I don't know if you meant to do that, but Eileen now is here to join us to talk about what happens after PC and all of the good things that go along with it. Hi, Eileen.
Good
How are you?
morning.
I'm going to take off then.
Thank you, Patty, so much. Have a
Bye-bye,
good day.
everyone.
Thanks.
Bye, Patty.
So Eileen is here to talk to us about life after PC. You know, Patty started touching on that as she was wrapping up today. Eileen, we're going to send out, we have a great brochure that we're going to send you all to all of our participants after we conclude today. So she's probably going to reference some of that information, but we want you to have something to take away from this portion specifically, because this is a big part about deciding where to go to college. I will let you get started.
Great. And if I could share my screen, Megan, that would be great. I have a couple of slides to talk about.
You should be able to.
It's saying host disabled.
Okay, hold on. Let me switch that real quick. Okay, you should be able to now. How about that?
I got it.
Great.
Got it. Okay, so let me do a little technical work here. When I'm on Zoom, it always fights me. So bear with me. Okay, so thank you again. Patty is actually my boss, so I did hear a little bit of her presentation, and I want to thank you all for coming. I know there's almost 60 people here, and I really want to thank admissions for inviting me. This is really exciting, and I think it really demonstrates the hard work that my team has done and the great work that we've done for the school and for the college. As Megan mentioned, my name is Eileen Wisniewski. I'm the director in the center, and I've been at PC, it'll be 10 years as of next month. I do want to point out really briefly that our office is called the Center for Career Education and Professional Development. And we changed that name a handful of years ago because it was important for us to demonstrate that when you come into Slavin 108, which is where we're located, it's not just about your resume and cover letter. We have a very individualized approach, and that's holistic. So we also make sure that the students, when they're going through classes, when they're in clubs and orgs, when they're attending workshops, those are professional development opportunities. And we want to make sure that the students are able to articulate that to a future employer or alum or somebody that they're networking with. When you come into our office, you're not a cookie cutter. We want you to come in and sit down, and I will say, student, who are you? What do you want to do? What do you want to become? Where are you in the process? Are you trying to think of, I don't even know what to think of for my major, or I'm ready to apply for jobs? So we sit down and we really listen to our students, and that I think is another thing that's really different. I'd love to introduce you. Well, before I do that, I know there are some students in the audience that are thinking, you brought someone in to talk about life after PC when I haven't even decided if I want to go to PC. And the reason why we do that, if you look at our motto at the top, it says, don't wait, Slavin 108. We've had this motto for probably 8 or 10 years now, and it's really important. It's the don't wait part to think about. You can come into our office the very first day of school and say, the woman from the webinar told me to come in. I don't even know why. And we'll sit down and say, great, so let's show you what some of the resources are, and let's make your path more strategic. Let's make your path more fun and less scary, for sure. If you wait until your junior or senior year to walk into our office, you don't know what you're getting yourself into, and it's a bigger mountain to climb. So we can help you with thinking about your major, thinking about minors, your classes, all of that together. Now we'll go to my beautiful team. This is one heck of an amazing group of people that I am so honored and proud to work with. A lot of the things I'm going to talk about today is the year that we've been living, and it's been a very, very unique year. And this team has jumped on every single thing that we need to do. In fact, our part-time job right now is we actually call students who have been in isolation due to COVID, and we call them every day while they're there, just to say hi and talk about the TV shows they're watching, but to give them a voice of someone that cares about them, even if we don't really know who they are. And we love doing that piece of our work. This team is pivoted on a regular basis. From March 16th last year, when we were told to go remote, we have taken the challenge on of every single thing that we normally do and say, okay, so if we can't have a networking night in New York, how do we make that happen? If we can't have appointments in person, how do we make that happen? And this team has just been great, working hard all through last summer to make sure we're taking care of the class of 2020. We've also invented some new programs, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. So this here, I'm going to take a real quick sip of water. This here, there are two things that family members want to know, parents, grandparents. One is, what are the outcomes of the previous class? And two, what are some of the organizations that you work with? This is actually a screenshot of our brochure that Megan referenced. And what this is going to show for this year are some of the statistics that we've had throughout the year, but also the 3 questions that we often get the answers of the questions asked of us. The number one is, how many of the students were employed or in graduate school? If we look at the bottom left, we are seeing a statistic of 88% of the class of 2020 reported that they were either employed and or in graduate school within the first 6 months. And the 6-month piece is key. So we do, and every college does, what's called the first destination survey, or the 6-month out survey. And it's exactly that. So what happens is after commencement, the surveys start going out, and they will continue to go out to the students or the graduates who have not completed it until December, 6 months. Then our assessment department will take the data, clean it up, and this is where we get our results. So we actually just got these results probably in the last month. That's about how long it takes to get this. So 88%. Every college in the world has probably been holding their breath, wondering what kind of a dip they might see with their outcomes. And although 88% wasn't as much of a dip as we could have seen, we were pretty pleased with that. However, to give you what a normal average year, we are usually around 96 to 97% of the class is employed or in graduate school or both by the time the 6 months rolls around. A question that we decided to ask starting probably 3 or 4 years ago was, are you in the field that you want to be? Not just working in retail if that's not what you really wanted to do. So we can see at the bottom right that 89% of the students, the graduates indicated that they were in the field that they wanted to be in, which again was a dip for us this year. Usually we are looking at in the mid 90s of the percentage. And finally, the top right is how many students, what was the percentage of students who took care to have an internship or what we call as career appropriate experience. And we added that line in because what we found was the graduates took that question very literally. And if this graduate happened to be an education major, they don't do an internship. They have student teaching or practicum. And so they were answering that question as no. So these are some of the stats that we always want to share. The second thing that I mentioned that people want to see are what's the sample organizations that you have. So you can see here that there's a good mix of nonprofit, for-profit, finance, just a little bit of everything that you might want. And again, this list is going to be in the snapshot brochure that you'll be able to have access to. Going back to the class of 2020, and we've kind of been juggling 2 classes that were looking for employment this entire year. So as we're gearing up for 2021, we've still been taking care of the class of 2020. When we looked at the slide of my amazing staff, Janet Costa Bates is on there, and she actually has been our class of 2020 coach. So when we were getting those survey results back for that first destination that I just talked about, Janet would get the list of alumni who have graduated that are indicating that they're still looking for employment. And she would personally reach out to each one of them and say, I'm here for you if you'd like to have a coaching appointment. And they really received that well. Another thing that we did for the class of 2020, as you can see on the screen, is we created a new program called Pivot that we will continue to do every summer as we move forward. In doing research with our employers, we asked them, how are you going to look at these students who either had or had it lost or never were able to even apply to a job or an internship? How are you going to receive that? And what they overwhelmingly said to us was, we are going to understand that a lot of things fell through the cracks. But what we want to see, though, is what did these people do with that time, with that break? So for the senior who wasn't able to have a job immediately starting, might have lost one, what did they do that summer? What did they do? So when we go back to that professional development part of our name, we put this program together, and basically the students would sign up in the beginning of the summer, and we would sit down, and it was very individualized, which is another theme about our office. And we would say to the student, okay, what are your goals? So you want to get a job. So what do you want to do to continue to grow professionally and personally over the summer while you're still applying for that position? So we had about 320 students. Initially, this was opened for the seniors, and then we thought it would be great to open it up to all students, because when we think about a first-year student, they may not, moving forward, they may not be able to even have an internship due to their grade level. So this was a huge success, I think, from the team, and the students really, really appreciated it. You can see some of the quotes here. I feel as though for the first time ever, I have a clear path toward reaching my professional goals. And that was because they were able to meet with the coach on their own timeline. They could say, I want to meet with you once a week, twice a week, once a month, whatever the student wanted, that's what we would do. And then finally, for the class of 2020, we did create, I'm a member of the Big East Directors Group, and we put together a class of 2020 job fair. So companies who are actively hiring still in July, we had it at the end of July, and then we had that for the class as well. So everything that we've been doing this year has been virtual. We have had huge success, and I've been so excited to see, and thanks to the current PC students, because they have made this happen. Our numbers of students having scheduled appointments are off the charts. I have been looking at every month and comparing it to the month of the previous year, and the least amount of increase, which means we had an increase in scheduled student appointments every single month since my data year starts in May. So we had, the least amount was 51% of an increase, and the highest at one point was 1100% increase, looking at each month of the scheduled appointments. Our attendance at events have also gone off the charts. And I know that it's incredibly unique because I talked to directors in other schools, and they're complaining that their numbers are down, that there's Zoom fatigue. We're just not seeing that here at PC. And I think that that's great. This list is really long. I want to make sure that I'm keeping this short and relevant to an incoming student. So just real quick, when I look at the top of this list, so Handshake is our virtual system that allows students to schedule an appointment with our career coach. It allows them to apply for jobs and internships, and we have hundreds of virtual jobs and internships currently in there. And the great thing about the way that this company created the system is there's a lot of relevancy pushing, or I'm going to call it the Netflixing. So when a student goes in and they fill out their profile, their career interests, the system automatically wants to push them jobs and internships that are relevant to their major, to what they're interested in, and it does a really great job. VMOC is our artificial intelligence resume reviewer. So if students wanted to have their resume reviewed outside of our normal office hours, 2 a.m. maybe, I don't think that would happen, but we'll pretend. They could go in, upload the resume into the system, and what VMOC will do is walk them through the things that are strong and the things that need more development, and then also give them tips on how to make that better. The great thing with that system is we do see a lot of students using VMOC first and then coming in, and so the resumes that we're seeing are already in really good shape. Big Interview is exactly what you think. It's an online interview practice platform. Say that 3 times. And basically what the student can go is say, I would like to be in this industry. And then there are questions that they're asked. They can pick difficult and easy, and they can really customize their questions, record them, and then watch them again. And this has been a big hit with the students for sure. FriarLink is, again, I'll call it a Netflix type, Netflix and LinkedIn just for PC. So we have, I think it might be 1,500 alumni that are in the system right now. And when you think about LinkedIn, a lot of students find that daunting. It's scary to go in and just see somebody and say, I don't know if I should just reach out to them, because everything they know on social media is to not approach strangers. In FriarLink, there's a couple of pieces that I think are really helpful for students. The first is the alum has the ability to put in all the clubs and orgs and activities that they did, so you can see if you have some connection there. The second 2 things are specific questions. So one is, what industries do you want to talk about to make it really simple for the student? And what are you willing to do? So the alum could say, I would love to have a student shadow me. I would love to talk about resumes or life after PC or relocating. So the student can see that, oh, geez, Eileen Wisniewski is willing to have me shadow her. So now I don't have to be as concerned about seeing if I can do that. It's a great system. When we look at Focus 2 and what can I do with this major, those are great systems for incoming students. The first thing that you really need to tackle is, did I pick the right major when I came in? or am I undeclared? And both have the same issues to deal with, because so many students will come in declared one major and then end up changing it to another. Also, students will often just pick their major and not think about their minors. So these two systems, along with our major minor fair, will help incoming first year students, probably the best resources for incoming students. Also appointments. So I mentioned that we've been doing everything virtually. It's been amazing. And so we're going to continue to have virtual appointments and virtual drop-ins as we move forward. We do have drop-ins so that when we are in Slavin 108, if you're walking by going to the gym, you can just pop in for a quick question. We've been doing that virtually. And as I mentioned, we've had huge success this year. This program is something that I'm incredibly so proud of the team. When we were getting ready to come to the winter break, I'll take one more sip of water. We normally would have had networking nights in New York, Boston, and events that were in LA and DC. And we realized that we couldn't do it. So what we've decided to do is to take what we call is the careers in, and basically it's bringing alumni back. And if it was careers in education, we might have a principal, might have a teacher, and we bring them together. We were crazy to think that we could do this, and we said, we're going to kick off 2021 with 21 events, and even crazier, we're going to do it in 8 days. And it was phenomenal. We had over 100 alumni help us with all of these different events, and you can see the titles here. During break, with no extra credit and no incentives, 418 individual students attended at least one of these events. When we added up all the attendance together, there was over 800 attendees at all of the events, with 40% attending more than one. We also, side note, had one student who went to 20 of them. So he must have been pretty bored, maybe. So finally, these are just a few more things. We talked about the coaching appointments. Through our professional skills, we also offer Microsoft Office certification. So right now, we've been able to launch Microsoft Excel Core and Expert, Word, and PowerPoint. And you can take the official test and then get certified and recognized by Microsoft. And then you can also get a badge that you can put on LinkedIn. We also have 2 expos, one in the fall and one in the spring. We did both of these virtually this year. The fall typically has about 1,600 students go to it, so it's pretty massive. In the spring, it's usually about 800. The shadowing program is always offered in between the breaks. And with shadowing this year, we also did it through FriarLink, that Netflix alumni networking system. And normally we do that in person. And then major minor, that was the major minor fair. And we also did that virtually this year too. So, I'm done. Any questions?
That was a lot, and it's such great information. And I think, when we talk about students and where they are, we realize that you're juniors and you're just kind of starting your search. But one thing, Trisha is now joining me from the admission office. I think one thing that we would both agree on is that we do get questions about like what happens after college. This is a big investment, and we know that. And I think talking about what is the return on your investment is so important at any point in the college search process. Let's see if we've got any questions for you. Nothing has come up, Eileen. So you're good to go. Like I said to everyone, as you were starting, we're going to get you some of the information that Eileen was sharing today. So keep an eye out for an email from us that will share that information, share that brochure. And then if there are more questions, you can always reach out to us, to Eileen, and we are happy to provide additional answers to those questions. So thank you so much, Eileen. Have a good day.
Right. Thank you. And when you come to PC, don't wait. Slavin 108.
Thanks, Eileen.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, everyone, you've stuck with us. The last part to the day, Yes, we've got a question about housing already. So Tessa, Brooke, and Trey, it's all you. Time to come on camera, time to unmute yourselves. You guys, are you ready to shine? This is your moment. Hi, everybody. So our last piece of the day is a student panel. We've received a few questions. Trisha, I've answered a few questions too. So what I think makes sense right now is for you to all just quickly introduce yourselves, and then we'll start rolling through some of these questions. Sound good? Okay, Brooke, I'm going to have you kick us off.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Brooke. I'm a junior psychology major from Long Island, New York. Some of the things I'm involved in, part of admission ambassadors. I do research, which is where I am right now, my BAM Dev Lab. I'm part of the Leadership Fellows Program, and I'm co-president of our mental health advocacy club, Active Minds.
I'll go next. My name is Trey Donardo. I am a junior at PC as well. I'm an accounting major with a finance minor, so I'm a business student. I'm from Waterbury, Connecticut, and some of the things I'm involved with, obviously admission ambassadors. I'm also on the club tennis team here at PC, and I am part of the Pyramid Club as well.
My name's Tessa. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm a freshman and I'm a political science major. Things I'm involved in on campus are admissions ambassadors as well. I play club softball and I also am a member of peer ministry.
And everyone, my name is Trisha Bergantino. I'm Assistant Dean of Admission, and I get the wonderful pleasure of letting these guys answer questions about what it's like to attend Providence College. So the first question is, can you talk about housing?
Yeah, I can talk about housing. So your freshman year, you'll be in an either all-female or all-male dorm. We have 3 of each, and you'll either be in a double, triple, or a quad. It really just depends on what building you end up in. And you can identify your preferences on the housing survey. Regarding roommates, there's also a roommate survey, so you can either choose who you want to live with or go random, and it will ask you all the questions you can think of. If you're neat, if you're messy, how often you shower, where you like to study, all that good stuff. So either option is really great. As you move up in the years, sophomore year, you'll also be probably in a communal style living in Aquinas, or you could be in suites, which is has like a living room and like a little kitchenette. And then your junior and senior years, you have the option of being in apartments. So right now I'm in a 6-person apartment with a full living room, full kitchen, 2 bathrooms. I love it. It's really nice. So definitely the housing kind of, I would say, improves, but the freshman year housing is still really great as you move forward in your college career.
Covered a lot. I would just say that either going random or picking a roommate is a great option. There isn't really one that's better. I wouldn't really recommend one or the other, because the roommate random survey is very good at matching people that are similar. So if you do find someone or 2 people, that's great, but there's no way that's really better than one another.
Related to that question is, how many roommates can you have?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So like Brooke mentioned, freshman year, most of the female dorms are either doubles or triples. There are some quads thrown there, but for the most part, it's doubles and triples. Guys, it's mostly triples and quads. There's no doubles for freshman guys. Sophomore year, like Brooke said, suite style, that could be 6 to 7 people, but it's multiple bedrooms, so not like you're all living in the same room. And the traditional dorm style is a triple, so there's 3 people with some doubles, but not too many. And then junior year, it's either a 6-person apartment like Brooke lives in, or I live in a 4-person apartment. And the only difference in the apartments is that Brooke gets 2 bathrooms and I only get 1.
Do athletes room together?
Yes, they do. So depending on what sport you play, depends on the building. But so like, for instance, my freshman year, I was on the same floor with a lot of the lacrosse freshmen and the hockey freshmen, and they all live together. I'd assume that's just for convenience. If they need to come to campus in the summer to train or practice or do whatever they got to do. Just easier to move in all together, and then they stay together the full year.
We had a few other questions that came in earlier. I'm going to pop in real quick and have you answer those. Do you guys feel like that PC interacts with the town, or is it more secluded? Where is it located? Start with that one.
Yeah, I can take that. So regarding the surrounding community, there's definitely a few places that everyone kind of likes to walk to. The most common one being LaSalle, which is a coffee shop and bakery. I've definitely walked there a few times. Also the Abbey, which is like more of a pub style restaurant. And then we also like to go to Thayer Street, and that's a big college like congregation center with like Brown and Johnson and Wales. There's a bunch of really cool restaurants and shops there. And there's plenty of places to explore throughout Rhode Island. And I know the Providence students really take advantage of that.
Tessa or Brooke?
Are there different rooming opportunities for, or is there different rooming for kids in ROTC for students who are taking the ROTC?
Yeah, so I know a couple of kids in the ROTC program. I don't believe there is separate housing for them, but yeah, I believe they're just thrown in with everyone else. But if you know, coming in, maybe you connected with an ROTC kid on the Facebook group or over Instagram or something, and you'd like to live together, of course, you can let the school know and they will match you together.
Do students mostly go home or stay on campus on the weekends?
Definitely stay on campus during the weekends. I mean, this year's obviously a little different with people being remote for classes and stuff, but definitely not a suitcase school. You don't see people leaving on the weekends. It's a really fun and lively place to be here on the weekends, so there's no rush for people to go home.
Does dining accommodate dietary needs and preferences?
Yeah, so in Ray Dining Hall, which is more of our buffet style, they have a whole separate section for people with dietary needs. And I'm not sure exactly how the process works, but I know that you notify the school of your needs and then you get access to like, there's like a whole little separate room to keep like allergy stuff like away from the other food, and you have access to there. There's also a whole vegetarian station. So definitely plenty of options if you have dietary restrictions.
So the next question I think I will answer, unless you know a better answer than mine. It's, are most of the students at PC from the Northeast, or do they hail from elsewhere? And the truth of the matter is we have students from all over the United States and from around the world, but most of our students do come from the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic part of the United States. But again, we have students who are from everywhere. The next question is, do students go and do activities in the city?
So I would say yes, absolutely. Like Brooke mentioned, there is Thayer Street, which is by Brown University. It has, all the food places to go to. There's also Federal Hill, which is like the fancy Italian side of Providence, Rhode Island. It's nice where all the nice restaurants are. That's where a lot of our students ask our parents to take us when they come visit, because those are expensive and we like taking our parents to nice fancy restaurants. Also downtown, there's the mall. So it's 3 floors, bunch of stores. There's an IMAX movie theater on the top floor. Also there's the Dunkin' Donuts Center, which is where our men's basketball team plays. So a lot of, especially the weekend games, there could be maybe a noon tip off. You go with your friends, go down, watch the game. And then after the game, you might go out to lunch at one of the restaurants right next to the Dunkin' Donuts Center, just to get out for a little while and explore the city a little bit. Oh, there's also Waterfire, which in normal times, the city of Providence puts on the river that runs right through downtown, and they light up. They light up the river with fire, and there's like a show, and there's music, and it's awesome.
So speaking of Providence, how far of a drive is it to the city?
like 10 minutes, and that's on a slow ride, so it's very fast. You're basically there before you know it.
What are the dining options on campus?
So we have two main dining halls, I would say, which are Ray, and which you'll have an unlimited plan to your freshman year, which I was talking about before, with more like the buffet style dining hall. They kind of have rotating meals. And then we have Alumni Hall, which is more of a food court style. So there's like a burger station, Asian stir fry, Italian wraps, and all that good stuff. We also have Dunkin', Starbucks, and then we also have Eaton Street Cafe, which has really good burgers. And they also have a late night option with mozzarella sticks and tater tots and all your favorite late night greasy foods, perfect for college students. So definitely no shortage of food here.
What measures does PC take for student safety and security on campus? So Providence College actually has its own police department on campus. We have our campus safety and security. And so we do have the different stations, the blue lights. If you should need assistance, they will escort you if you're not feeling safe, but there's a lot of different safety features available for students. We are also a closed campus, which also enhances safety and security. I don't know if students want to add to that, but.
Yeah, to add a little bit, just for your peace of mind, I've never felt unsafe or felt like I needed to use the blue light system or anything like that. The security guards are really nice. We see them on like a daily basis, just kind of say hi. But yeah, definitely no big concerns about that here.
The next question is how do you get to the city if you don't have a car?
I'll take that. So the RIPTA, which is the Rhode Island Public Transportation, has a bus stop right on campus, and it's free for PC students. So you just walk on the public transportation, show them your PC ID, you get to walk on for free, and it brings you downtown to the mall. It brings you to the train station, which is how some people like to get home for breaks and whatnot. And it's very easy to get around.
What sort of opportunities are available for students to get involved in religious life, such as participation in mass, etc.?
Way to get involved is through peer ministry. That's very popular on campus. And freshman year, they put you in small groups with a couple leaders and you meet every week, and it's super fun. And a super easy way also is mass every Sunday. I want to say they have 3 every Sunday, and the most popular one is the one at 10 at night, which is super fun.
Also, to build off that, one of my roommates actually just led the Lighthouse Retreat, which is for sophomores. And I know that freshman year, there's a pre-orientation program called FaithWorks, and then also the Connections Retreat in the fall semester. So that's just another great way to kind of get with people who also are big on their faith and make friends while also engaging in your own faith journey.
And also to add to that, the Last Chance Mass, which is the 10 o'clock p.m. Mass that Tessa was talking about, it sounds very odd that there's a Mass at 10 p.m. But in normal times, it is a standing room only Mass. There's a bunch of kids that go. There's a student choir that sings all the hymns and the church songs. The homily is always directed toward kind of relating to the PC students. So the friars know that. They love giving that Mass. There's the homilies usually got some nice, chuckles and laughs in there. And it's a great way to end the week beforehand and start the new week at 10 p.m.
All right, next question. Does PC have a theater program for non-theater majors? So I will answer that one. See the blank faces, it's okay. So anyone can participate in the theater arts program at Providence College. You do not have to be a theater arts major. We do have a minor in theater arts. We also have musical theater. So there are a lot of different opportunities to participate. They will have open calls on for different casting for different plays and so forth at PC. So you can certainly be engaged as you choose to do so. Are there different meal plans for athletes? I believe that answer is no. Yep. All right. If anyone is listening, were to attend PC, what is one thing you would encourage new students to do?
Get involved. That's about as simply as I can put it. Similar people are into similar things, so you're bound to, make new friends, meet new people. If you like the extracurriculars you do in high school, continue them in college. If you want to try something new, absolutely go for it. It's your freshman year of college. I would say get involved, and that's really no matter where you go, but especially at Providence College, everyone gets involved, and there's a lot of Friar pride, and we're a Friar family. So I would say get involved.
Yeah, my personal advice would be to explore Providence and the state of Rhode Island in general, because that's something I regret not doing earlier. Now as a junior, I definitely feel like I'm like, oh, there's all these things I want to do before I graduate. Oh, that sounds so weird to say, but definitely like take advantage of not only the college, but also the city and the place where you're going to be living for the 4 years that you're here.
I would say even if there's something you're a little bit interested in, you might as well go try it out. You have nothing to lose. If you don't like it, well, you tried, but you don't lose anything by just trying something that you're even slightly interested in.
Well, not seeing any more questions, and
We've got one last thing that I want to bring up because it came up earlier, and I would be remiss to not say it one more time because I think we've had people join since it was said this morning. If you are interested in visiting campus, you can, Raul, Trisha, he made the announcement today, very exciting, that we're targeting June 15th as the time where we will be able to bring juniors, rising seniors to campus. So if you are interested in coming, and we would love to have you on campus, this summer is really going to be a great time to be able to do so. So right now we're kind of focused on making sure that seniors, admitted seniors, get those visits in prior to the May 1st deadline. But I know that someone had asked about being able to visit, and if you missed that this morning, that's kind of what we're targeting. Obviously we have to pay attention to the CDC and the health department and all of those things, but we can't wait to get you to campus to see all of these things and learn more about our admission process. We didn't really want to focus on that part today as much, just to give you a great kind of high level overview of all of the things that we have to offer. So if there's nothing else, you guys, we did it. We ended on time. I'm so proud of all three of you. Do we have any other questions?
I think that's a great way to end, is come visit us
Come
at
visit,
PC.
yes.
Come visit us, come see Harkins Hall, come for an interview. We would love to meet with you and come show you around.
Awesome. Thanks, Trey. Thanks, Tessa. Thanks, Brooke. Thank you, Trisha. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, everyone. You all have been so wonderful. Thanks for your questions. And we look forward to seeing you on campus soon. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.